So we mentioned that when Prophet Isa, Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, was 30 years old, he received the revelation and Allah ordered him to go out to the people and call them to worship Allah alone. And as you can see, the main issue, the main theme, the main essential of the creed that the prophets of Islam, that they all call the people to, is to worship the Creator only, not to worship a creation. And so he began calling the people to Islam by telling them, "O people, worship the Creator only and do not associate partners with Him." Because of course that is that it would not be valid to worship a creation. So even, let's say, an honored creation like Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, it would not be valid to worship him because still he's a creation and he is not attributed with godhood. He does not have the power to create. So Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he told the people, worship the Creator only and do not associate partners with Him, and believe that I am the messenger of God to you. And so Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he was sent to the children of Israel. And so in the past, and before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the prophets would be sent to a specific group of people, but that doesn't mean that the prophets would not call the people or anyone outside of that group of people to al-Islam. No prophet would ever reject or turn someone away who wanted to learn. No prophet would ever not call someone to al-Islam just because they were not of the specific demographic of people that they were sent to. So that's the difference between Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the rest of the prophets alayhimus salatu wassalam, is that they were sent to specific demographics of people, to specific people, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't share the message with anyone outside of that group. It just means that they were sent to that people. But Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sent to the whole planet. And he wasn't sent to a specific group or a specific tribe or a specific gender or a specific race or a specific location on earth. He was sent to everyone on earth. So everyone who was born after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received the revelation is obligated to follow him. And they all have to, once they become accountable, they all have to believe in him. And the rules and the laws that were revealed to him, they apply to everyone. Meaning that we all have to follow it. So Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he was sent to the children of Israel, and 12 people that are called al-Hawariyun, they believed in him. And so Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he began to delegate and disperse them throughout the different places so that they can call the people to worship the Creator only and spread the religion of Islam, the religion which is the religion of all the prophets and the angels. And so Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he was supported by Allah with the clear miracles. And so he would heal the sick and those that had terminal illnesses, and he would heal those that were born blind and those that had leprosy and other than them among the sicknesses by the will of Allah, to the extent that the people began to love him and his followers became large in number, and his reputation was known among the people, and people mentioned him a lot. And so he would spend his days going around and traveling around the land, calling the people to the religion of Islam. And Allah Ta'ala enabled Prophet Jesus alayhi salam to memorize the entire original Torah, and he revealed another revealed book to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam known as the correct Injil. And some people would say the Gospel, but it's the original book that was revealed to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam in the Syriac language, the Aramaic language. And this book contains calling to believing in the Creator, the one and only Creator, who is not a body, the Creator of everything, and to believe that Jesus alayhi salam is the slave of God and His messenger. And it also contained a new law. And it also contained the good news and the glad tidings of the Prophet of the end times, and he is our Master Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And it also contained the prohibition of usurious gain and anything that harms the mind or the body, and consuming pig meat. And it contains the order, the command to pray and to fast, and other than that, among the matters of the religion. And the origin of his call is two things: the Tawheed, which is distinguishing the Creator from the creation and solely worshipping the Creator, and to believe that He is a messenger of God. And Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he did not call himself Son of God, and he did not call God the Father. So Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he did not call himself the Son of God, and he did not call God the Father. And it is blasphemous, in the religion of Islam, and it is blasphemous in reality, to call God the Father. Because fatherhood is an attribute of the creations. Even if the person, they say metaphorically, even if they say it's not literal, still it's blasphemous to attribute that to the Creator, because He is not the father of anyone, and He is not the, how do you say it? He's not the source of anyone, and nothing is a part of Him, and nothing emanates from Him, nothing comes from Him. Allah Ta'ala is not composed of parts, and He is not diluted, and He is not, and there is no part of Him that then becomes a creation. Na'udhu billah. Allah is not composed of parts. And the first words that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, that he said while he was in the cradle, is what is mentioned in the Quran about him. قَالَ إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ. And it means that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam said, indeed I am a slave of Allah. And so he has confirmed and admitted his being a creation of Allah, and that he is a worshipper of Allah, the one and only Lord and Creator of the universe. And Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he warned his people, the children of Israel, against committing blasphemy and associating partners with God. And he clarified for them that the one who associates partners with God is deprived of going to paradise, and that his final destination will be hellfire, residing in it forever and ever. Na'udhu billah. In the Quran, in chapter Al-Ma'idah, in Surah Al-Ma'idah, in verse 72, Allah Ta'ala revealed, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ وَقَالَ الْمَسِيحُ يَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ رَبِّي وَرَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ مَن يُشْرِكْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ الْجَنَّةَ وَمَأْوَاهُ النَّارُ وَمَا لِلظَّالِمِينَ مِنْ أَنصَارٍ. أي ليس للكافرين أنصار يحمونهم من عذاب الله في الآخرة. نسأل الله السلامة. So this ayah, the Muslim should know this ayah and its meaning, so that he can use it if a Christian who thinks that he knows the Quran and thinks that he knows the meanings of the Quran because he goes on so-called Quran.com and he clicks his mouse a bunch of times and he says, oh look what it says, na'udhu billah, it is so absurd and silly, their claim. They call it the Islamic dilemma, which is something very strange, they try to use verses of the Quran to try and say that Muslims are ordered to follow Christianity. Very strange. These are the times that we're living in. This is the type of delusion and absurdity that people are exposing themselves with on the internet. So it's not, we're not putting words in their mouth, and we're not making things up about them. Verses that explicitly says that what the Christians believe is blasphemous. So the first terms of this ayah, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ, it means that surely has blasphemed, who الَّذِينَ, which means those, those who what? Those الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ, those who say, indeed, the Creator is Jesus, the son of Mary, Al-Masih ibn Maryam, or what someone would say, the Christ, the son of Mary. But Al-Masih is referring to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam traveling to different areas and calling people to Al-Islam. Or also to the fact that he used to, let's say, pass his hand over the blind man's eyes that was born blind, and he would be able to see, among his miracles. But anyway, it's specifically referring to the fact that the people who say Jesus is God are judged as blasphemers, not as believers. And that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam told the children of Israel, worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord. Indeed, the one who associates partners with Allah, then surely Allah Ta'ala has barred them from paradise, and their final destination or their final dwelling place is the fire, and the non-Muslims will have no one to support them or protect them from the torture of Allah in the hereafter. And we ask Allah Ta'ala for safety and salvation. So the followers of Jesus alayhi salam, those who believed in him and followed him, and who embraced Islam and believed in Allah and concurred and admitted the prophethood of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. Among them are Al-Hawariyun, which are the 12 closest students and followers of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, those who were his helpers in spreading the da'wah and the law, and they taught the people the goodness and the teachings of the revealed law that was revealed to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. They are the nation of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, those who were sincere and truthful, those who were upon the guidance from their Prophet Jesus alayhi salam and upon his way and his teachings until after he was raised to the second heaven for about 200 years. So basically, Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he called people to Al-Islam. Certain people of those people, they answered the call. They followed him properly. They obeyed the law. They learned the knowledge from Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. They implemented the teachings of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. They spread the teachings of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. And so this was the nation of Muslims that are attributed to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. And they remained that way for about 200 years after Prophet Jesus alayhi salam was raised to the second heaven. Then after those 200 years, the number of Muslims among them began to dwindle little by little. And so many of those that they worship Jesus, and it began to grow, those that worship Jesus, their numbers began to grow, and they began to pervert what Prophet Jesus alayhi salam taught among the revelation. So, and we can historically corroborate this. Historically, and if you look at what the Christians use for what they claim is the gospel and this and that, 200 years after Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. So they're not even close to having something that is from the time of Jesus alayhi salam, or from someone who narrates directly from Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. Prophet Jesus alayhi salam did not claim godhood. And so Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, one of the main things that are said about him that is not true and that people, they slander him with and they accuse him falsely of, is they accuse Prophet Jesus alayhi salam of claiming to be God. And even if you use like the corrupt book of the Christians, which by the way, the scholars, they said that it's not permissible to, and for let's say a common Muslim, to read in the books of the non-Muslims, to read in the corrupt Bible, to read in the corrupt Torah. It's not permissible for the common Muslim to read it. But even, and there's certain exceptions to the rule. So in their books, and it's an argument that Christian theologists that they've had, and there's this, big back and forth among them about there not being any explicit verses of the corrupt Bible that say that Jesus said about himself that he's God. They have certain matters that they interpret as that, but nothing explicit. But anyways, we have the Quran. In the Quran, this is explicitly negated from Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. It's explicitly negated by his words that he is saying, I never said I was God, I never claimed to be God. So this is from which ayah? Because those Christians online that like to try and antagonize the Muslims and misquote the Quran, so that we know the name of the surah and the chapter and the number of the ayah. So we have Al-Ma'idah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, verses 116 and 117. قال الله عز وجل وإذ قال الله يا عيسى ابن مريم أأنت قلت للناس اتخذوني وأمي إلهين من دون الله قال سبحانك ما يكون لي أن أقول ما ليس لي بحق إن كنت قلته فقد علمته تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك إنك أنت علام الغيوب ما قلت لهم إلا ما أمرتني به أن اعبدوا الله ربي وربكم وكنت عليهم شهيدا ما دمت فيهم فلما توفيتني كنت أنت الرقيب عليهم وأنت على كل شيء شهيد. قال القرطبي في تفسيره ما نص اختلف في وقت هذه المقالة، فقال قتادة وابن جريج وأكثر المفسرين إنما يقال هذا يوم القيامة. واختلف أهل التأويل في معنى هذا السؤال، وليس هو باستفهام وإن خرج مخرج الاستفهام على قولين، أحدهما أنه سأله عن ذلك توبيخا لمن ادعى ذلك عليه ليكون إنكاره بعد السؤال أبلغ في التكذيب وأشد في التوبيخ والتقريع. الثاني قصد بهذا السؤال تعريفه أن قومه غيروا بعده وادعوا عليه ما لم يقله. We're going to explain this in Arabic. So we have this long 2 verses, and so the first one it means, and when Allah Ta'ala, so this what we're going to mention now, this question is of course rhetorical, and of course Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is not accused of claiming this. This question is to show and admonish and reprimand and scold and severely threaten and degrade and refute those who claim that about Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. So the meaning of the ayah is, and when Allah Ta'ala addressed Prophet Jesus alayhi salam with what means, O Isa, the son of Mary, did you tell the people to take me and my mother as 2 gods? This is the address. did you say to the people? And then this sentence, speaking from the first person perspective of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, the question is, did you tell the people to worship you and to worship your mother Mary as two gods besides Allah? And the response of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is, glory be to you, O Allah. I would not be, and it would not be just for me to say what I don't have the right to say. Meaning, I would never say something like that because I don't have the right to say that. And then it says what means, if I had said it, then for sure you would have known it, because you know all the unforeseen and I do not know the unforeseen. Indeed, you are the one who knows all the unforeseen. I have not said, Prophet Jesus alayhi salam saying what means, I have not said to them except that which you had ordered me to say, and He commanded me to say, to worship Allah, my Lord and your Lord, addressing the people. And I was as an evidence upon them, or I was someone who would see their reaction or know what they did, and if they answered the call or not, as long as I was alive among them. And when I was made to die, then of course Allah Ta'ala is the one who knows about what they do and judges them. And Allah Ta'ala, He knows the reality of everything. And Allah Ta'ala knows everything that occurs. And of course on Judgment Day, Allah Ta'ala will expose the deeds of the people. So the scholars of tafsir, what did they say? They said that this address is occurring when? Is going to occur on Judgment Day. When Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is addressed, that this is going to be on Judgment Day. So it's speaking about after this dunya, and after Prophet Jesus alayhi salam returns to the earth and lives out the rest of his life and dies and gets buried in Al-Madinah next to the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And after the world comes to an end, and then after Judgment Day begins, etc. During Judgment Day, this will be said to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. Did you tell the people to worship you and your mother as two gods besides Allah? And this will be the response of Prophet Jesus alayhi salam. So that's what the most of the interpreters of the Quran, what they said about that. So if it was said, the Christians, they did not take Lady Mary as a god, then how was that said about them? We respond with, since those people, the Christians, they said that she gave birth to a human, they said that she did not give birth to a human, and that in reality she gave birth to a god, then it's a necessary entailment upon them, a binding argument upon them, for them to say, because of the compositionness, or because of being a part of it, of the one who she gave birth to. And so it becomes a binding an entailment on them that they say that, because they claim that Jesus is God, and they claim that Lady Mary did not give birth to a human, that she gave birth to a God. And so because of that, supposedly she gave birth to a God, so then that he would be a part of her, and so that it's as if they're saying also that she's a God. But not only that, some sects of Christianity, the Catholics, they do pray to Lady Mary, so they in that sense worship her. So now, one thing to address about this ayah is we see that it's referring to it's saying that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is saying, and when you made me die, after I passed away, that Allah Ta'ala is the one who knows what they do, and would judge them on Judgment Day. So some people, of course they're misguided, and they try to say that this is proof that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam died. And we say, no, this is not proof that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam died, because when this address takes place, it's in the hereafter. It didn't take place before that. Um, So the part that says وَكُنْتُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَهِيدًا, and the Prophet Jesus alayhi salam was preserving what he was ordered to teach them and the information that he was ordered to give them. Meaning, as long as Prophet Jesus alayhi salam was alive, he remained consistent and steadfast in teaching what Allah Ta'ala revealed to him. So here we'll mention a benefit. Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, like other than him among the prophets, all of them, they called their people to worship Allah only and to believe in all of the prophets. Likewise, Prophet Moses alayhi salam, he was sent to the children of Israel, and he came to them calling them to worship Allah only and to believe in all of the prophets and messengers. And so the Jews, they split up. And so the Jews, they lied about Prophet Moses alayhi salam, and they claimed that Prophet Moses alayhi salam advised them and told them not to accept a law other than his law, and that supposedly his law would remain until Judgment Day. And so, of course, this is not the case. This is not true. Of course, the Jews, they claimed that. The Yahud, they claimed that, but it's not true. They lied about Prophet Moses alayhi salam. And so both Prophet Moses and Prophet Jesus alayhi salam are prophets and messengers that came with the call to Islam, which all of the prophets came with that call. The first of them is Adam, and the last of them is the seal of the prophets and messengers, the final prophet and messenger, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And all of them are unanimously agreed in the creed. So all the prophets and messengers, they all have the same creed, they all agree in the creed. They do not differ in the creed. Because wisdom dictates that changing the creed through the different eras and times would not constitute, or any wisdom constitutes that the creeds would not change over the different periods of times and generations. Because the foundations of the creed of believing in Allah and His angels and paradise and hellfire and the like, it's not does not dictate the welfare of the people, or it doesn't change any based on the welfare of the people, no matter how many generations and no matter how much years have passed. And it's not in the best interest or the welfare of the general public for the creed to change from time to time. As for the laws, the rules, the rulings that pertain to actions, then these differ based on different eras and times, because wisdom dictates that them differing for the different circumstances and eras that the people live in. Also, Prophet Jesus alayhi salam did not drink alcohol ever, and he never encouraged anyone to drink alcohol. Let it be known that alcohol is among the forbidden matters in all of the revealed laws of the prophets and messengers that were sent before Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And alcohol also was revealed as forbidden in the laws of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after the revelation was sent to him or revealed to him by a time, and it remains forbidden until Judgment Day. Let it be known also that there are no prophets that ever drank alcohol or encouraged anyone to drink alcohol. And that's because alcohol, it does away with the mind. It intoxicates the mind, it makes the person lose their mind. And alcohol makes the person feel like committing the vulgar sins. And of course, any person living in the West, any secular person, knows the effects of alcohol. This is why the non-Muslims, they have alcohol in the club. This is why they have alcohol at the party. This is why they have alcohol to get loose or to do this or to do that. This is why the sexual predators, they use alcohol for that. They get the person that they want to make them fall into sexual perversion. They serve them alcohol, they give them a drink, and they encourage them to drink. And some of them, they don't like to wait for the effect of the alcohol to take place, so they add on top of that some powder or some sort of other drug that goes into the alcohol to even make the person become unconscious. And then they, do the perverse actions with the person while they're conscious. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. But and within what's considered to be in society the normal spectrum, people use alcohol to get loose. People use alcohol to lower their inhibitions so that they can, do things. And so, drinking alcohol, it negates the chivalry or the muru'ah, which is something like, and it's like chivalry. It's like something that is related to, if you want to say manliness, if you want to say that. I don't know of a one-word definition for it. Valor, if you want to say valor. Chivalrous conduct, the qualities of someone who has valor. An honorable and polite way, an honorable way. And the drinking alcohol negates that honorable way. Nah. As for what some people, they say about Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, and they lie about him, that they say that he drank alcohol, na'udhu billah, or that he encouraged people to drink alcohol, this is for sure invalid and blasphemy. For sure it is invalid and blasphemous. And the prohibition of alcohol is emphasized in the Quran. I know that there are deviants nowadays who try and say that there is no explicit verse in the Quran that forbids alcohol, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. On top of the fact that there is a consensus of the Muslim nation that alcohol is forbidden. And so Prophet Jesus alayhi salam never encouraged anyone to drink alcohol, even a little of it. What some people claim that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, and of course this is not true and is blasphemous to claim, they claim that Prophet Jesus alayhi salam said that a little bit of alcohol delights the heart of the human. Na'udhu billah. Like that, they say that a little alcohol makes the heart happy. Na'udhu billah. So now, what in reality, what Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he said about the khamr, he said that the khamr yuqarrihu al-qalb, which means yufsidu qalb al-insan. It doesn't mean that he said yufarrihu. Na'udhu billah, subhanallah. How could someone say that? Na'udhu billah. Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, he did not say salam to the pig. So among the blasphemous things also that some ignorant people attribute to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam is that supposedly he saw a pig and he said, Assalamu alayka ya akhi. Na'udhu billah. This is of course blasphemous and crazy. That supposedly Prophet Jesus alayhi salam saw a pig and that he said, peace be upon you, O my brother. Na'udhu billah. This is the danger. This shows you the danger of reading on your own without knowledge. Imagine somebody, they don't have the proper knowledge, they did not learn the obligatory knowledge, and then they go and read something like that, and then they believe that, just because it's written in a book. Subhanallah. Many of the people, I did say it in English. Oh, for the alcohol? Oh, that alcohol corrupts the heart of the human. Not yufarrihu, yuqarrihu, which means corrupts the heart of the human. Na'udhu billah. How could some people claim about Prophet Jesus that he said as-salam to the pig, that he said peace be upon you, O my brother, to the pig? Na'udhu billah. This is a lie, and it's degrading of the office of prophethood, wa'iyadhu billah, and for sure it's blasphemous. And so this shows you the great danger and the great destruction that those who read books on their own without knowledge, that they have put themselves into. And many of the people who went astray, and many of the people who they blasphemed, and many of the people who they deviated from those who claim to be Muslims or those who identify as Muslims, they deviated because they read books on their own without a chain, and they believe certain things that are in those books that cause them to fall into blasphemy. Even if it's the name of a big scholar, even if it's a famous name of a scholar that is famously known to be of Ahlus Sunnah, and just because there's a PDF of a big name or a scholar with a big name, and they see those words in that PDF, that doesn't automatically mean that author said it. Like, there's so many examples, even within the scholars themselves. They write in their books that, some scholars, they wrote themselves in their books, that their books were corrupted and perverted while they're still alive. Because imagine, in the past, they didn't have the printing press, they didn't have, let's say, computers where you can copy and paste or scan or copy a document, etc., and print it out on your own. What did they have? They had handwritten manuscripts. And so if a scholar wrote a book, let's say, and then he wanted, let's say, for other people to have it, he would get a scribe, and he would hire a scribe, or a scribe would do it, let's say, for free or whatever, and whatever their arrangement was. But there would be a scribe that copies the book, and he by hand. And then that's how, and then another person gets it. Then another scribe, let's say, wants to copy that book for another person, etc. And that's how they get, the books became spread, or the manuscripts occurred. And even some scholars, they said, like An-Nawawi, rahimahullah, he said, about one of his books, he said, I wanted to, let's say, edit it or review it before it went out, and it spread before he got a chance to edit it or review it. And he used to say about it that he wished that he could have washed it, because in the past they used to write on parchments or like something like paper, but with ink, or like on leather hides. And if they wanted to, let's say, get rid of that, or like to, let's say, scrap that project, they would just dip it in water, and then the ink would run, and then you couldn't read it anymore. So at one point in time, An-Nawawi, he said about one of his own books, he ordered his students to wash that book. And they said this book is already spread throughout the horizons. Subhanallah. So it's not the way of Ahlul Sunnah. It's not the way of meticulousness, tahqiq. It's not the way of acquiring knowledge in Islam anyways, to read on your own without a chain. So many people, they became misguided because of that. Imagine somebody read that in a book, supposedly that it's attributed to Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, that he said a little bit of alcohol makes the heart happy, and they believe that, na'udhu billah, they blaspheme. They exit Islam because they have attributed something that is not permissible to attribute to a prophet, and something that negates the office of prophethood. Subhanallah. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Inshallah, next week we'll talk about and we will exonerate Prophet Jesus alayhi salam from the slander that some people say about him, that they claim that he was crucified and that he was killed. Wal-'iyadhu billah. And of course, the Christians, they believe that, na'udhu billah, but they have no basis for that. If there are no questions, we'll conclude. طيب نهلل لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. رب اغفر لي وللمؤمنين والمؤمنات وبارك الله فيكم. السلام عليكم.